For the last few years, we've all been kind of obsessed with the same AI dream. But what if I told you that dream is already being replaced by something way more powerful? We are talking about a massive shift in how we think about, build, and work with AI. It's about moving away from a single all-knowing assistant and embracing an entire digital team.
The vision was so seductive, wasn't it? One AI, this superbot that could be a master coder, a brilliant financial analyst, and a project manager, all rolled into one. The ultimate digital genius ready for any problem you could throw at it. It's pretty much the sci-fi future we were all sold on. But here's the thing. As companies are trying to drag this superbot out of science fiction and into the real world, they're hitting a massive wall. That dream is starting to crack under the pressure of real-world complexity. And honestly, it's forcing us to rethink everything.
So this gets us to the heart of the issue, what some are calling the monolithic failure. The whole idea of one giant AI trying to do everything, well, it turns out it's fundamentally flawed. When you ask it to handle complex, multi-step business tasks, it doesn't just struggle. It fails in some really predictable and frankly fascinating ways. And this failure usually starts with something called the God prompt. I love that name. It's basically this gigantic, convoluted instruction trying to force one AI to wear all the hats at the same time. And the result? You get a jack of all trades and master of absolutely none. It gets confused and it starts making critical mistakes.
The first big problem you run into is context rot. Okay, imagine I gave you a 100-page document and then asked you about one tiny, crucial detail on page 57. You'd probably forget it, right? Well, AI models do the exact same thing. Critical instructions that get buried in the middle of a super long prompt, they just get lost. The reason this happens is actually pretty wild. It's because of something called the U-curve of AI attention. What we found is that the model pays really close attention to the beginning of a prompt and the very end of a prompt. But its focus just takes a nosedive right in the middle. And that's exactly where those crucial details get forgotten and the context starts to rot.
The second major failure is what we call persona bleeding. Think about an actor trying to play a slapstick comedian and a tragic hero in the very same scene. It would be a mess, right? They'd get confused. It's the same thing when you ask an AI to be a creative coder one minute and then a super strict security auditor the next. Their roles just bleed into each other, and that leads to hallucinations and really bad logic. So, what's the bottom line here? The single bot approach isn't just prone to errors. It often becomes a yes man, just agreeing with its own flawed logic. A specialized approach, on the other hand, allows for focus, for accuracy, and, this is key, for critical review. It is the difference between having a lone, stressed-out generalist and having a team of dedicated experts. So, what's the solution to all this? Well, it's simple in concept. We stop trying to build a superbot, and we start building a digital team. This means creating a whole system of specialized AI agents that work together, a lot like a well-run team in a real company. And this new model looks a lot like a human organization. You have a manager agent, usually a really powerful model like GPT-4o, whose job is to plan and delegate. Then it sends tasks to a researcher agent to find info and a coder agent to actually execute tasks and build things. Each one has a single, clear, specialized job. And the workflow between them is incredibly disciplined. The user makes a request to the manager, and the manager breaks it down, delegating pieces to its specialist agents. Then it gets the results back, validates them, and keeps looping back to the team until the job is done perfectly. It's this iterative process that has quality control baked right in, which is how you get a high-quality final result.
Now, you might be thinking these agents are just, chatting with each other. But that's not it at all. Their communication is highly structured, almost like passing a formal work memo back and forth. They use a standard format with a clear sender, recipient, and a really precise set of instructions. This gets rid of any ambiguity and makes sure everyone is on the exact same page. Okay, so this definitely sounds more complex. You might be asking, why bother? Why should businesses invest in building these AI teams instead of just sticking with a single chatbot? Well, the answer really boils down to three things: accuracy, cost, and control.
First up, performance. And this is a big one. Research is showing that these multi-agent teams are up to 23% more accurate on complex reasoning tasks. And that's because you have agents that can actually check and critique each other's work, catching errors a single, lonely model would have totally missed. In business, that level of reliability is everything.
Second, and this is the one that gets everyone's attention, it's cheaper, a lot cheaper. See, not every single task needs the most expensive, powerful AI on the planet. You can use a smart manager model to route the simpler jobs, like, say, summarizing a document, to smaller, more efficient, and cheaper models. This whole idea of model routing can slash your operational costs by up to 45%. That's huge. And this is not just some theory on a whiteboard. These digital teams are already being deployed right now in really critical industries. We're seeing finance firms build automated analyst teams to sniff out risk. Hospitals are using clinical support squads to help doctors with research and patient notes. And tech companies are creating teams of agents to automatically modernize old, crusty legacy software. When you step back and look at the timeline, it is just wild how fast this is all moving. Just a short while ago, we were all about the superbot dream. Then we moved into this messy experimental phase with God prompts. And now we are really entering the era of the agentic enterprise, a future where our companies are powered by these coordinated teams of digital workers. So the big takeaway from all of this is pretty simple. The goal is no longer to build a single, all-knowing oracle. The future of AI in the real world is all about building, orchestrating, and governing a digital workforce of specialists that can collaborate to get the job done right. Look, we're past the point of asking, can AI do the work? That question has been answered. The real challenge now, the question that every developer and every business leader needs to be asking, is how do we build the team? How do we architect, manage, and scale these digital teams to build the next generation of truly intelligent systems?